What if I told you that everything you've ever been taught about reality is not even half the story? That there are ancient, hidden laws so powerful that when understood, they literally give you the ability to bend reality to your will. And these teachings weren't just for philosophers and mystics, they were guarded by alchemists, secret societies, and some of history's greatest minds, from Leonardo da Vinci to Nikola Tesla. And yet, they've been hiding in plain sight, passed down through the ages in a mysterious book called the Kybalion. Well, today I'm going to share with you the 7 Hermetic Principles, the secret framework that governs reality itself. And once you understand them, you'll never look at your life the same way again. But here's the catch. The real power isn't just knowing these laws, it's using them. So stick with me, because by the end of this episode, I'm going to share with you how to apply these principles to completely transform your mind, your reality, and your ability to manifest what you desire. Now, let's start with who were the Hermetics. The Hermetics were ancient philosophers, they were mystics, they were alchemists. They studied and preserved the teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure said to be a fusion of the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. And the Hermetic tradition was kept alive through mystery schools, secret societies, and esoteric orders. Groups like the ancient Egyptian priesthood, the Neoplatonists who merged Greek philosophy with Hermetic thought, the alchemists of the Middle Ages, the Renaissance magicians, even the Rosicrucians and Freemasons who incorporated Hermetic principles into their teachings. Now, these individuals sought spiritual enlightenment, mastery over reality, and deeper understanding of the universal laws. And as I mentioned before, these 7 Hermetic Principles, they come from a book called the Kybalion, which was a book published in 1908 that distills the ancient wisdom, again attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. Now, this is a book that I found early on in my personal development journey. It really helped set the stage because the beauty of this book is that it literally gives an outline of the major principles that become translated through all of the different studies and teachings in personal growth, spirituality, and neuroscience that we see today. The first of the principles is called the principle of mentalism. And the idea of the principle of mentalism is that all is mind. Everything in existence is fundamentally mental, and that the universe itself is a projection of consciousness. And as the universe is consciousness and all mind, your thoughts create your reality, and mastering your mind allows you to shape your experiences. Now, if you've been in personal growth for a while, or you've read the book The Secret or Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, this might just seem like something that's quite obvious, but certainly for ancient civilizations, and being published for the first time in 1908, this was a groundbreaking discovery, right? It was the idea that your external circumstances are not simply a byproduct of chaos theory or random coincidence, but a projection of the mind. And today we talk about this in personal growth. We take a look at the challenges that we're having in our life, and we become aware of the fact that we are responsible for those challenges. And the good news about assuming responsibility is that that means you have an ability to respond. You can actually transform your external circumstances. Paul is quoted in the Bible as saying, "Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And we find this idea that all is mind, and everything from law of attraction to quantum consciousness to Neville Goddard's teachings. I've talked about this in so many other episodes, but Neville essentially says all creation begins in consciousness, which he calls the 4th dimensional space. And when you put your focused attention and emotion towards that which you desire in consciousness, which is invisible, which is potential, which is the energetic waveform reality that exists simultaneous to our 3rd dimensional material reality, you activate that energy in consciousness and it becomes material over time. That's how our thoughts actually create our reality. And so we see, Neville Goddard was a teacher in the mid-1900s, but going all the way back thousands of years, this concept was a core concept of the Hermetics. Principle number 2 is the principle of correspondence, and it's articulated as above, so below. We also find this in scripture, this idea that as is above, so is below. And what this is really articulating in the second principle is the macrocosm and microcosm mirror each other, meaning the galaxies themselves are reflected in the structure of subatomic particles like atoms. And this is the idea that your inner world creates your outer world, very much like this idea that everything is consciousness and everything is mind. But when you create a change within, your reality shifts. And here the Hermetics really talked about taking a look at what it is that you're experiencing in your external reality and knowing that the solution is within. Today, we have a lot of work, shadow work, inner healing, the idea of holographic universe theory that really supports this second principle, which is this idea, again, that there's a correspondence. As is above, so is below. As you think and feel within, so too will you create in the external reality. Principle number 3 is the principle of vibration. And this idea that nothing rests and everything moves. Everything is in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies, and higher vibrations attract positive experiences, lower vibrations attract struggle. And so again, this is an understanding very, very early on, thousands of years ago, of what we now understand today in terms of human beings being mechanical, electrical beings. The reason why you attract circumstances and situations or create synchronicities similar to how you think and how you feel is because those thoughts and those emotions are electrical vibrations that are contained within your brain and your nervous system. And so if everything is energy, which it is, Einstein states that everything is energy, then what that actually means is that you can, through your own vibration, influences the experiences that you have in your life. Well, how does this work? Well, based on your habit of thought, you're sending out a thought vibration on a moment-by-moment basis. And that thought vibration is received at an unconscious level by other people who make unconscious decisions to actually create rendezvous that reflect back to you what it is that you think and you feel. A good example of this is that, you think that money's hard to make or it comes, but it doesn't stay very long. And just as you're starting to get ahead of your monthly rent, you get an unexpected bill in the mail that you have to pay. This is an example of you consistently thinking or feeling or putting off a vibration that you're not good enough, and someone actually reflects that back to you. You get fired from your job, or you run into a random stranger at the gas station who yells at you and tells you that you're not good enough. And so higher vibrations attract positive experiences, lower vibrations attract struggle. Hey, it's David. Quick announcement before we get back to your episode. Our annual event, the Powerful Living Experience, is coming up. There's a link in the show notes, or you can visit powerfullivingexperience.com. Check out the video of last year's event. We're going to be bringing together 1,000 impact-driven entrepreneurs, leaders, and game changers to spend 3 days doing what matters most. Going really, really deep on identifying the limiting beliefs and subconscious programs that are still preventing you from your full potential, and going through deep experientials and trainings and transforming them. We're also going to be getting into concepts like wealth creation, purpose, greatness, money, relationships, health. And if you're an entrepreneur, we're going to be spending about 20% of that event opening up my business playbook, the same strategies and tactics and techniques that we use to go from $0 to $30 million in an impact-driven business, while spending 90% of my time doing what I love. There's nothing like the Powerful Living Experience. Inc. named it a top 3 must-attend personal development event for entrepreneurs and leaders, and I want to see you there. We've got some discounted tickets right now, plus some additional bonuses. Again, all the information is in the link in the show notes, or you can jump on over to powerfullivingexperience.com, get registered, and I will plan on seeing you there along with 1,000 other impact-driven, incredible members of our community for 3 days that you will never forget. And now, back to your regularly scheduled episode. Right, the modern parallel here is when people do energy work or raising their vibration or raising their frequency, or a lot of the teachings that Abraham Hicks shares, which is, again, this idea of the law of attraction or the law of vibration. What you consistently think and you consistently feel is your primary energetic resonance, and the resonance that you put out there creates your reality. Principle number 4 of the Hermetics is the principle of polarity. It's the idea that everything has its opposite, and we need opposites in order to understand our physical reality. If we don't have dark, we don't understand light. If we don't have cold, we have no frame of reference for hot. If we don't have failure, we cannot celebrate successes. And that opposites are really just different degrees of the same thing. You can think of opposites of sitting along the same spectrum, where light is on one side of the spectrum and dark is on the other. And the idea that Hermetics were proposing was that by shifting perspective, you can actually transform negatives into positives. In other words, you can transform fear into faith or courage. And this was the idea of alchemy, right? Alchemy, from a historical perspective, was the idea of turning a metal like lead into gold. But here it's about changing perspectives. It's about taking a situation and not looking at it from the primal state of being or from fear or fight or flight, but actually looking at it from a growth standpoint or an opportunity standpoint. Shifting perspective can transform negatives into positives. And today we have bodies of work around emotional alchemy or mindset shifting or duality theory that represent these concepts. So again, we can see that so many of the modern bodies of work and the modern teachings are derive themselves from these 7 Hermetic principles. Principle number 5 is the principle of rhythm. It's the idea that everything flows out and in, that life operates in cycles, growth and rest, highs and lows, and that learning to flow with the rhythm prevents resistance and suffering. So we see this in a lot of Eastern wisdom teachings from Taoism and Buddhism, the idea of not being attached, not knowing what's good or bad. There's the parable of the wise farmer and the ignorant neighbor. And the wise farmer has a horse that runs away one day, and the ignorant neighbor says, "Oh, what a horrible thing that's happened. You've lost your one horse." A few days, and the wise farmer says, "Well, who knows what's good or bad?" A few days later, the horse returns with 7 wild stallions. And the ignorant neighbor says, "Oh, what a fantastic thing that's happened to you and your family." And the wise farmer says, "Well, who knows what's good or bad?" A few days later, his son is out riding one of the wild stallions and gets thrown from the horse and breaks his leg. And the ignorant neighbor says, "Oh, what a terrible thing that's happened to your family." And the wise farmer says, "Who knows what's good or bad?" A few days later, the militia come and they round up all the young able-bodied men and take them off to a war where they're all going to be killed. And the son is not taken because of his broken leg. And the ignorant neighbor says, "Oh, what a wonderful boon that has fallen upon your family." And the wise farmer says, "Who knows what's good or bad?" So the wise farmer understands that there is an ebb, there is a flow. There are not only seasons to nature, but there are seasons to our life. And when we can flow with the rhythm, it prevents resistance and it prevents suffering. And we can see that today in concepts like seasonal living or flow states or market cycles in business, right? He who is able to maintain certainty within these cycles is able to succeed and thrive. When we react to our external environment and we move into fear, we have a difficult time navigating through these inevitable cycles of life. Principle number 6 is the principle of cause and effect. And it's the idea that nothing happens by chance. So every action creates a reaction, and you are either at the mercy of external causes or the creator of your own effects. And you can take control by being the cause rather than reacting to life, right? And so again, this is an idea that's mapped certainly into conscious manifestation or the law of karma or deliberate creation. It's this idea that at any point in time, we have a choice. There are consequences of the actions that we take. However, in each new present moment, we have an opportunity through the application of the other principles to interpret the opportunity in a productive way and to create a transformation in the cause and effect of our life. Principle number 7 is the principle of gender. It's this idea that masculine and feminine exist in all things. And both are essential if we're wanting to create, both in terms of creating human beings on this planet. We need masculine and feminine input, and in terms of creating anything in our own lives. And the masculine represents action, logic, and structure, right? This is the structure within which we create. It's the action plan. The feminine is akin to intuition, creativity, and receptivity. And true power comes from balancing both energies in creation and manifestation, right? It's the space of feminine flow that allows us to tap into our intuition, our creativity, to receive hunches and ideas. And then we take that and it becomes masculinized into a structure for actually implementing and creating in the world. Both are necessary. If we have a structure, there is no input to actually create that is innovative or of new design. And if we just simply have the flow of feminine energy, there isn't a structure to actually materialize it into our third dimensional reality. So again, true power comes from balancing both energies in creation and manifestation. And we've seen this today in divine masculine and feminine work, in the concept of the yin and yang, in the creative process, whether you're writing a book or you're creating artwork or you're in any type of creative art, there's always a free-flowing, intuitive, creative space, and then there's a structure that becomes implemented and a medium where that creation unfolds. Now, here's where it all connects. These aren't just isolated principles. They're a formula for mastering reality. The people who understand them don't struggle to create wealth, success, or transformation. They do it effortlessly because they're working with the laws of the universe, not against them. And most people spend their whole lives reacting to reality instead of learning how to shape it. But once you start applying these principles, you step into a completely different level of existence where things don't just happen to you, they happen because of you. So of course, on this channel, I have so many other episodes that break down each of these 7 Hermetic principles and guide you into actually integrating them into your life. But I have a question for you. Which of these principles do you feel you've already been using, maybe without even realizing it? And which one are you going to start applying right now? Do me a favor, if you're following along on YouTube and Studio, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. If you're listening on the audio platforms, just get clear for yourself. And if you haven't yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and become a part of our community. Oh, and if you want me to go even deeper into these principles, let me know, and I can do separate episodes going deeper on any of the 7 Hermetic principles. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I loved sharing it with you, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, it's David. Hop on over to davidbear.com. Click right here. There's also a link in the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get immediate access to my free Mind Hack ebook, as well as a couple of trainings to help you master the inner game. This is a great way to stay informed and be a part of our community and be notified of special announcements. Click below, head on over to the website, get subscribed. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this one or this one, and I will see you in the next video.